Okay, hi everybody. My name is Eileen Nicole, and I'm coming here today with another video, and we're going to be talking about just really quick. This is going to be a really quick live. We're going to be just talking about Donald Trump and the DEI executive order that he signed. We're just going to go over it a little bit because I think it's important that we follow it, and just because this does directly affect the Black community. So let's take a look at there's a news story about this, and this is from the other day, but let me just take a look here. And this is it right here. All right, so let's take a look. So I just kind of want to preface it really quick that Donald Trump, as soon as he got in office, he signed, I think, over 350, close to 350 executive orders. One of those orders was to eliminate diversity, equity, and inclusion, which really turns out to be Black people and those who classify themselves as people of color. So he eliminated things that made it made it a made a point to make sure that discrimination wasn't happening, um, and and it was being done in a way that it was measurable. Like you can measure if it was if there were, just if there was discrimination happening. Anyway, so he rolled back that um, law from 1965. And so we're going to just look at a news article about it. So let's go.
Federal employees are receiving emails warning that they could face repercussions if they do not snitch on coworkers who work in diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility positions that might have gone unnoticed by government supervisors. DEI efforts date back to the civil rights movement to create more diverse and inclusive workplaces. But on Thursday, Trump slammed them as absolute nonsense in remarks to the World Economic Forum.
My administration has taken action to abolish all discriminatory diversity, equity, and inclusion throughout the government and the private sector, with the recent yet somewhat unexpected great Supreme Court decision just made, America will once again become a merit-based country.
Joining me now is Rob Shriver, Senior Advisor of Democracy Forward. He is the immediate past acting director for the Office of Personnel Management under President Biden. I always chuckle a little bit when he says merit system, given that he was a host of a television show who is now the president, and most of his cabinet are also television show people with no experience and no qualifications. But I digress. Let's talk about some of these orders. So
I know she's being facetious there, but merit means white. If you are white based, you will be able to have the complexion for the protection. This is so unfortunate because many times the far right will say, oh, well, you always bring up race, but that's all y'all use is race to manage or run or rule anything. All y'all do is put race before y'all worship y'all skin. Y'all worship y'all skin and demonize anybody else that does not have the same skin as y'all. It's so weird. It's just so bizarre. And it's maybe because I just didn't grow up like that, to be a skin worshiper, to worship my skin or anybody else's skin. I just think that is so bizarre that people actually worship their skin, so much so that the president will get in office and be a skin worshiper as well. But let's listen to the rest of the news story.
On camera, this is what Project 2025 entailed, right?
It certainly is, Joy. They telegraphed that this is what they were going to do. They have an agenda here to drive out from the federal government the career experts who Americans depend on to deliver critical services. to block the agencies from backfilling them with other career folks, and instead to surge in political appointees who are loyal to the president.
Right. And so, there are civil service protections theoretically, but they're getting around them in very interesting ways. They're saying, well, we're going to reassign people to maybe jobs that are not so attractive. They're saying everyone come back to work. Maybe people are in Kansas or in some other place where it's not practical. Maybe they'll quit on their own. And then there's this no snitching policy, essentially saying we're getting rid of DEI. And if somehow there's secret DEI going on in your department and you don't literally snitch on your coworkers who are accidentally hiring Black people or veterans or women, then you're in trouble, because obviously they want to fill these positions with their friends, not career civil servants.
So this is DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, in action. That's what this department is. It's basically Twitter / X marks the show in real life. That's what DOGE is. DOGE is Twitter, what Twitter has become in real life, unfortunately. But this is what we're living through.
I think that turning federal employees against one another, particularly during a transition when there's a lot of change, no matter what.
But that's the point of the whole thing, because Donald Trump is the king of chaos, and so is his right-hand first man. So at the end of the day, pretty much the whole cabinet means to disrupt the proletariat, and people who are not going to go along to get along with this particular administration's thirst for power. So if that isn't being met, because I've said it before, like being a good leader, anybody knows that a good leader is a person who is of service to the people. He's only of service to the 1%, meaning the president of the United States. He's only of service to the 1%. So he's going to put people who are in alignment with him so that he can continue. He can serve who he's only there to serve. He's not there to serve the American people at all. And we've seen this when he rolled out his cryptocurrency, and his base was the first ones to, get this coin. And there's a big drop in the value of the coin. A lot of people lost money already. And so there's more to come for that. So he doesn't care about, not only does he not care about his base, but he doesn't care about the rest of the country either. And he's showing that, but through all of these executive orders. So all that time in Mar-a-Lago, from the time that he won up until the time now, he was thinking about getting with people, in particular the 1%, to see what they wanted, and then he found an executive order for it. So that's what we're seeing now. We're seeing DOGE, which is Twitter, in real life.
Really vile. And I think we should talk a little bit about what these mysterious DEI policies are that the new president is talking about. When we were working in my former agency on DEI, what we focused on, Joy, is we focused on opening up internship opportunities instead of just from people in four-year schools, people who go to community colleges or trade schools. We wanted to open those opportunities for them. That was one of our DEI policies. And you know what else we did, Joy? We wanted to make sure that those interns got paid. Because I don't know about you, but when I was going to college or law school, I was washing dishes, I was mowing lawns in the summers. I couldn't afford one of those fancy unpaid internships.
Same.
Well, that's a barrier to folks, right? It's like all over the country, not just people of color, although certainly people of color, but people that live in small towns or rural communities. Those were the types of policies we were advancing.
Right. And I think that people on the right have decided DEI just means Black people having jobs. So Black people
not just Black people having jobs, but Black people having any type of resource that means anything. Because there is there's this narrative of certain people on the right, certain people, not even all the people on the right, but certainly the people, the MAGA people, they have this narrative, this notion that woke people or DEI people or Black people, and then also in addition to that, people who classify themselves as people of color, they need to be deserving of it. And they are the ones who are going to decide if people deserve it or not, even though they aren't in the position to be able to tell if someone does deserve a resource or not. they're still going to be the judge and jury of who deserves these particular resources. And since they are the judge and jury, no Black people deserve any of these resources. What they really want is for slavery to return, and in particular chattel slavery. So this is what this is all, and they'll get as close to it as they can. They'll get as close to it as they can. It doesn't have to necessarily be as the way it was, but they'll get to as close to it as they can. And if they can't get there, they'll get to oppression. And that's the one thing that's not going to happen.
Black person is DEI. That's what they've decided. But DEI really is, as you said, it isn't a quota for hiring lots of Black people. It is recruitment. It's saying, let's also go to HBCUs and see if maybe those students might want some of the things Harvard kids get, you know, just the recruitment. Or saying these people are veterans who fought in the Iraq War. It's difficult for them to find employment. Hey, let's recruit among them and see if they might want these jobs, right? DEI is not a quota of Black people. It's getting diverse groups of people of all races and all over the country.
You're absolutely right. There are long-time laws on the books regarding the civil service that have prohibited affirmative action quotas. So we've never had that in the federal government. But what you do have to do, like you said, is look at who you're recruiting. Look at what those applicant pools look like. You want to make sure that you have America represented in those applicant pools, so they at least then stand a shot to go through and show that they're qualified. Because let me tell you, Joy, the people that get through that federal job application process and get hired, they're qualified for those jobs.
Yeah, and they're difficult jobs. Is there any recourse? You know, I've had a bunch of people ask me this today. If people are being cashiered out of their jobs, or if they got those letters saying, hey, you were offered a job, you're supposed to start in February, it's now rescinded. They have obviously no recourse. They're just not going to get the job. But if people are already in these civil service jobs, do they have any recourse?
They do. And I really want folks to know that there are people out there and organizations out there fighting for them, like my organization, Democracy Forward. And we have a civilservicestrong.org website where those federal employees can go and get resources. And it's really important that they know that there are civil service protections in place. They were strengthened under the Biden administration. And these actions that this administration has taken, I think there's a lot of them that are legally questionable, and I think they're going to be tested in the courts.
So there will be lawsuits to try to protect these folks' jobs.
There are already lawsuits, and there will be more, yes.
Rob Shriver, thank you very much. Appreciate what you're doing, because people are going to wake up really surprised when basic functions of government don't work, because instead of a civil servant that knows what they're doing, it's some person that just loves MAGA that doesn't even know the job.
How about it, Joy? Like when we go to grocery stores and we buy meat there, we want to make sure that the person that inspected that meat was hired because they know what they're doing and not because of who they voted for. When we apply for a small business loan, we want that application to be decided based on the merits and not some kind of political donation that you gave. And when our homes and our lives are in danger because of wildfires, we want those federal resources to be deployed based on the need and the science and not the political leanings.
Not who you voted for. Rob Shriver, because that's their version of DEI. Just you voted for Trump, you love Trump, you get the job. Rob Shriver, thank you very much.
Thank you, Joy.
All right. So that is the video. I just wanted to kind of just go over that because I think it's important that we continue to follow this, because if we act like it's no big deal, or I didn't like DEI anyway, maybe you didn't benefit from it, but sooner or later it's going to get to something that does benefit you, and something that that would be a benefit to you and your family could get taken away because we're not paying attention to our part in it. There's a part in this government, this whole country, that the proletariat play. And it's not just voting, it's not just working, it's not just paying taxes, it's not just being law-abiding citizens. It's also checking power when there's overreach. It's also giving your voice. It's also fighting oppression. That's also another function of the proletariat. And so if we just act like it's no big deal, then we are dropping the ball, and we can't do that. All right, well, that's been this video. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.